I'm just enjoying my journey, honestly. Like, maybe given the opportunity in the future, but I am interested in serving the people, and we'll just see wherever it takes me.
Yes, and it has taken you to Showtime, right? About that experience. Paano nangyari yung sa Showtime, especially for yung segment?
Well, actually, someone scouted me lang, Miss Heidi Malyari, like on Facebook. Then she scouted me to join Especially for You. Want to date, but unfortunately, didn't work out as well. Pero yeah, so right now, I'm still single.
Okay, akala ko kasi sabi mo, I was single then. I was single ngayon.
Oh, I wish.
Hi Dreamers! This is Jerry Lee Salvador and welcome to The Pillow Talk, where dreams get unplugged. Ang ating guest for today ay isa pong beauty queen, isa po siyang law student, and also ang babaeng maraming pinaglalaban. Let's all welcome Miss Alliana Habana.
Hi, Dreamers! Hi, Miss Jerry Lee. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you din. Sobrang pretty mo.
Thank you.
Deserve ang beauty queen a role.
Thank you.
Ayan. And with you, so, nag-PETA ka before, diba?
Yes.
So, you started with acting. So, can you tell me about that PETA experience?
Well, actually, I've always wanted to be a theater actress ever since I was young. It's my first dream. So, when I was around 13 years old, I started doing some PETA workshops. Like, my parents pushed me into it, and then I really, fell in love with theater. And then after that, tinuloy-tuloy ko na. Like, nagkaroon ako ng plays sa PETA, like, some short plays, and then after that, nagkaroon ako ng theater projects afterwards. Pero in the middle of that, syempre, nag-focus na ako sa pag-aaral. So parang there was a time wherein I stopped doing theater. But eventually, I went back into it.
So yun talaga yung parang isa sa mga naging goals mo din. Pero ano ba talaga yung childhood dream mo?
Well, pili ko ang dami kong pangarap. Pero, no. Actually, I think it's every little girl's dream. Like at the age of 4 years old, 3 years old, that every little girl wants to be like an actress or like a singer, and that was my first dream. That's why I joined PETA, because I wanted to be a theater actress and singer. But when I grew a little bit older, I was exposed more when it comes to politics and social issues. So when I was 11 years old, that's still a young age pa rin, I decided then that I wanted to become a politician.
Wow.
Yes, it's a big leap, theater actress to politician. But I realized my passion through that because napahilig ako sa history. Doon nag-start yun.
Okay.
My favorite book when I was 8 years old was Noli Me Tangere.
Wow.
I already read the book during that time. And then, after that, my parents are not politicians, but they're very into social awareness. So my mom does charity works, while my dad naman is also involved in our LGUs in our province and Capiz. And so, naging aware ako when it comes to social issues through watching the news, through having conversations with them. Pag may dinner kami, pinag-uusapan namin pa na yung mga ganap sa society.
So it runs in the blood.
Yes,
talaga.
feeling ko parang ganun. But also, it's really me na parang dinevelop ko na yan as I went along. And then, I feel like that dream, it was such a young, at such a young age, na parang bata pa lang. Pero it really flourished into something bigger as I went along through my adulthood.
And not everyone would love Noli Me Tangere at such a young age. And it's so nice to hear that you knew at that age na that's what you wanted. So you are now pursuing law. So you're a law student.
Yes.
So can you tell me that whole experience?
Well, no, it is stressful, honestly. I'm studying law right now at UP Dalaman. So I think that it started there. So when I started entering into we started thinking that I want to be a politician, I realized that the best way for you to go into public service, at that time, I felt like it was to become a lawyer. Because obviously, if you know the law, knowledge is power, and the law is such a big factor when it comes to politics. And so, it's just a simple process. I took the entrance exam, and I got into UP Law. But I think that I felt honestly, I think every law student would agree that during your first semesters, it's a really overwhelming experience. I didn't realize how difficult it actually is. Me, for example, I'm into certain types of law. I like constitutional law. But there's certain other laws, like corporate law, tax law, even family law, which I'm not that interested in. But obviously, you have to push yourself if you want to become a lawyer. And so, I feel like I continued pa rin yung law school ko, pero minsan naka-overwhelmed. So, napapaisip ko rin if it's really for me. And then right now, sakto kasi we're entering into the vacation right now. So, right now we're on summer vacation. And so, I have a lot to think about, honestly. Is this really the path for me? And so far, I am. I feel like I do see myself pursuing this. But maybe perhaps taking a little bit of a break or a breather, especially during this vacation, to focus on like other things as well, like my mental health and like my personal like relationships with my family and friends. Na feeling ko like every law student can relate na parang napapabayaan na rin minsan.
Yeah, so a lot to think about, and especially since sobrang busy mo nga din.
Yes,
Pero
true.
with the acting, I just wanted to ask kung paano siya nag-start before. Kasi before you became a law student, you acted first.
Yes,
Yeah.
actually. Like, I became a theater actress, like, professionally for quite some time when I was in college. So, remember I told you that I started doing theater acting because of PETA. And then I did workshops. And then, after that, I had to stop first to focus on my studies. And then, in the middle of it, when I was about to enter into college, I started asking myself, like, it felt like, it's funny because I was just 16 years old. But during that time, it felt like such a transitioning period in which I was thinking, ano ba talagang gusto kong gawin sa buhay ko? Ano bang gusto kong mangyari? Kasi obviously, like, I think all parents would want their children just to continue studying and all that. Pero ako, marami akong gustong gawin eh. So sinabi ko na, ininsist ko talaga sa parents ko during that time, which they weren't really, honestly, they weren't really that fully supported as well kasi iniisip na yung pag-aaral ko dapat unahin. Pero ako, I really insisted that I wanted to become a theater actress. So while I was studying, during the time, I was studying economics in Ateneo. I was also doing part-time theater acting in like theater companies like Artist Playground, Hiraya Theater Productions, and like many others, Studio ni Pipay. Usually there, I would focus on roles like princesses, usually. Because I told you, I have such a love for history.
Yes.
So, my first role after when I started doing theater acting was as Princess Leonora and Ibong Adarna.
Yeah.
So, yun, mahilig ako sa mga ganyan roles, mga princess. Kasi it feels like, sa acting kasi for me, pagdating sa acting, like, I feel like everyone has different reasons why they enter into acting.
Yes.
Some because they just like, it's a hobby, some because of the money, the fame. But for me, it's an opportunity for you to be someone who you're not. Like, for you to play different roles and to live different lives. And for me, I just like, in my life, I want as much as possible to live an exciting life. And, well, I'm grateful that I feel like I have. Have been living such an exciting life so far. But like, may mga bagay na parang hindi mo maranasan sa buhay mo. Like, for example, become princesses, live in a castle, to have that fairy tale romance. And that's what I crave when it comes to acting.
Yes, yung mga bagay na hindi mo siya magagawa in real life. Pero in acting, you can actually live it.
It's true, yeah. And
so
I feel like it's a part of your personality as well. That's what people call you, parang your dark side. But for me, it's not really a dark side. It's just the side of you that you don't usually play out in public. For example, like sometimes you just want to be crazy on stage. Sometimes you get roles where you can just be happy-go-lucky and you get to have fun. And you're able to release all those emotions when it comes to acting. Like, that's the beauty of acting eh. Parang the more emotional you are as a person, usually people tell you like you have to be very logical. Dapat hindi ka masyadong umiiyak, di ba? Babae, iyakin. But like, alam mo, the funny thing is that before, I was such a person na parang kapag may nafe-feel ako, tinatago ko talaga. Like, hindi ako umiiyak and all that. Pero when I entered into acting, I got told by directors na parang ang hirap ilabas yung emotion sa akin, na parang I'm holding things back.
Very contrary to how you are now.
Yun nga, like, so like, parang doon ako natuto na parang, sabi na sa akin, I should just express myself. And so, yeah, whenever I felt like crying, when I felt like being happy, I would just express it. And little by little, I developed that habit. And it really helped in my acting career as well for time being.
And look at where it led you, diba? Now you're into pageants as well.
Yeah.
So how did that start naman? So from acting, paano na transition to pageantry?
I think anyone who enters into showbiz would tell you that they want to become like an actress in like ABS-CBN or GMA. And back then, that was also my dream. Because obviously, when you go there, like you're blinded by the fame, obviously. There's a lot, you're gonna be famous, you're gonna be rich and all that. And so yun talaga yung pinursue ko. But like I found out that it's not as easy as you think it is. And even theater acting and TV acting is so different.
Yes.
In theater, because it's real time. Like, you get to feel the emotions, it's a continuous flow. But in TV, it's really paputol-putol, there are many edits. You have to cry in queue. And I know it's good for like maybe some people, they like TV acting, but for me, it's not for me. It doesn't feel that natural. Yeah. And so there was a time wherein I was just like in a stalemate thinking like, what did I do with my life? Kasi like, planano ko yun before I told you, before I entered college, although like I had a dream of being a politician, I didn't think about pursuing politics until I was like 30. Ang sa akin, when I entered into college, pursue ko muna. Ito yung talaga yung plano ko. I wanted to pursue first acting and then become a lawyer and then become a politician. That's my plan.
That was the goal.
Yeah, that was the goal. Pero when I realized that acting was really difficult, plus, like you are also in like the showbiz industry, so you understand how difficult it is to deal with, for example, auditions, like getting rejected, getting shouted at by directors, by producers, and I couldn't take it. Now, I was literally just about to give up showbiz when in 2020, I was approached by my friend. Like, my friend was like, hey, like, join Miss Mandaluyong. I'm joining Miss Mandaluyong, baka gusto mo sumali.
Ganun.
Yeah,
Sobrang
like,
casual lang.
literally casual. Like, parang, sabi ko, ano yun? Parang, like, that's another thing. Like, obviously, there's a showbiz side and there's a pageantry side. Parang every little girl, they dream of being an actress, but also every little girl wants to become like Catriona Gurri and Pia Wurtzbach. And I never thought that I could be like that. Because when I was younger, honestly, I was like, to be frank, like pretty ugly.
What?
Yeah. Like I was pretty obese like during that time. Then I had a lot of pimples. Hindi ko na pinabayaan ko yung sarili ko when I was younger. And so parang I never grew up thinking that I could be like a beauty queen. But I was approached by my friend and said, okay, I'll just do it. Like I'll do it for fun. And it was a long story, but what happened is that eventually I ended up like being endorsed by my barangay to join Miss Mandaluyong. Almost na nga hindi nangyari. Like there was a process wherein like I was supposed to like ang nangyari kasi is I was supposed to be endorsed by my barangay at Ilaya. And then I was parang maraming kompetensya doon. So if people here in Mandaluyong, they know Barangay Ilaya is like a big barangay. So there's so much competition. And in reality, I didn't pass the first screening.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like I was already removed during the time because like they told me that I didn't know how to walk. I was the only girl there na panay mga veterana, like they're all experienced. And I was the only girl there who didn't know how to walk, how to make aura myself in camera. And so, but after that, I was given a chance by another barangay, Namayan. And yeah, in Mandaluyong as well. And then they basically adopted me.
Oh, cute.
Yeah, they told me that they needed a representative, and so they trained me, they helped me, and eventually I joined Miss Mandaluyong 2020. And I didn't win during that time. I only won like a Face of the Year award.
Which is still great.
Yeah, at least I won something. For my that's the thing, for my first pageant, it's such a big accomplishment.
Yes.
Yeah. And so that was the end of like Miss Manda 2020. And then come 2024, like I didn't think of joining, like siguro there was a pandemic, obviously. But I think that after Miss Manda 2020, I started to develop a passion for pageantry because I realized that it's different from showbiz. It's different from acting in that I mean, I love theater acting, but I mean, anyone here who does theater acting can agree that it's not a sustainable like living. Like honestly, you have to give a lot of your time and effort. Hindi siya like pageantry na it's just a few months, but in theater it's like continuous, and it's the rewards of that. It's really hard to reap as well. So I realized that theater acting wasn't really for me anymore. And so I was thinking about TV, but again, I mentioned like it's not really for me. I didn't see the passion there. And when I entered Miss Manda 2020, I got really involved in like the projects that they did in Namayan. So I would join like from the simple things like from Zumbas to visiting health centers. And then eventually I would start teaching children and starting interacting with them. And then I would talk about my advocacy, which is about education. And I started talking to these government officials about like how can we fix this barangay? How can we have a project? And I was really given the opportunity by Barangay Namayan to like get engaged into the people, and I love the experience so much. Like it's not just obviously there's that part of me that's the passionate, like the person who wanted to be an actress. Nandun yung the glitz, the glamour, the pictures, the dresses.
Yes,
but
you can still be a princess.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there was that. But there was also the part of me who wanted to be a politician and to enter public service, and I really just fell in love with my community, honestly. And so
it combines what you both love.
Yeah, exactly. And the funny thing is that I haven't even lived in Mandaluyong for like the longest time. But the short time that I was there in 2020, from 2019 to 2020, like I really fell in love with it. So when I was approached in 2024, like that was 4 years later, to join Miss Manda. I didn't plan on joining Miss Mandaluyong this year because I know, as I mentioned earlier, my law school, like it's just really difficult. But during the pandemic, like I was already thinking that I do want to become a beauty queen. Like, I already ingrained it into my mind. Like I started thinking about ways for me to enter pageantry. And so I saw this opportunity and I took it basically. Like my manager at that time, like really helped me to become better, like for the pageant, basically. And so yeah, I joined Miss Manda, and then luckily
it has
enough,
opened so many opportunities.
Yeah,
for
luckily
you.
enough, like I did during my second time, like I did win like At least, yeah.
Yeah, so like mga naging activities mo would be in like sa gala and you're
Yeah.
like joining different activities
Yeah.
nga. So yeah, can you share about the after?
Yeah. Well, honestly, okay. Like before I share the after, it's important to know the context of why I did win. During, Miss Mandaluyong, anyone could attest to this. It's such a big pageant. Like people from all places in the Philippines watch this because it opens so many opportunities talaga. And that's why there's a lot of pageant veterans, like girls who were former contestants of Binibini or Miss World who joined there. And these are girls who are so pretty, like so sexy. Like they're good at like that. They're good at the swimsuit, they're good at pasarela, like that's pageant walking. And basically they're very experienced. I'm not as experienced as they are. I only joined Miss Manda. Like it's my second pageant. And so like that, yeah. But when I went there, I want to say that basically that's not the reason why I won Miss Manda. Isn't because that I'm the prettiest girl or the most experienced girl. That's none of it. Like I'm at least like confident enough to claim that the reason why I won Miss Manda is because I actually did have an advocacy. Like I actually won another like award during that. It's Beauty with a Heart. So yeah, it really basically the people saw that I did have a sincere advocacy, which was education. That I was already starting. Like I was during that time, I was started getting involved in my barangay, Buayang Bato, and during the time I was already involved in like the activities for the kids. Like I was already teaching them, like sharing like ideas with them, especially Araling Panlipunan. But like, that's another topic for later. But like, yeah, so
You were walking the talk.
yeah,
basically.
yeah, basically, and that's why when I want to say that I won Miss Manda not because of how I look, but because of how I am as a person. And so when I did win the pageant, I already promised like to the people of Mandaluyong that if I win, I want to be a queen who serves others. Like I want to use this crown as a platform because that's the purpose of pageantry right now. Like maybe before in like the whatever century, beauty queens were just viewed for their looks, but right now beauty queens all over the world, like, you can see that they're using this pageantry as a platform for them to share ideas. And that's what I did. So I actually started with Sagalas. Like obviously, that's a funny thing. Like it's such a little thing na parang noong una pa lang I was just invited like, hey, join Sagalas. It's normal. Obviously, I'm Miss Manda. Like obviously, mag-Rain Elena ako. But like, unlike the other girls who would join the Sagalas, what I would do kasi I'm from Buayang Bato right now in Mandaluyong, but I would be brought to like different barangays. I think I joined like total of like 6 or 7 Sagalas. Yeah, during the Flores de Mayo. But in each barangay that I visit, I don't just use that opportunity to just join the Sagala. I use that opportunity to actually get to know the people, to actually talk to the government officials, figure out what, even if I'm not from that barangay, I would ask like, what are the problems in this barangay? And then how can I help in addressing it? Like obviously I know that I'm not yet a politician, but I know that I have at least a voice because as a beauty queen, we know that Filipinos actually listen to us.
Yeah, like
And-
Miss Pia Words back then, confidently beautiful with a heart then like you.
Yeah, and like Catriona, like she uses her platform to actually promote like her advocacy of like anti-poverty. And so that's why like as a beauty queen, I know that I can have a role in helping like these barangays. And so it started there, and I would in Sagala I would mention it, and then I would get then they would be happy about it, and I would get contacted by like initially it would be SK chairman, but right now even barangay captains and like kagawats, like officials from Mandaluyong, and then even right now even the councilors, like I'm working with them, wherein they would talk to me and then ask, like they would present like, we have these projects and if you want to help us out in this, you can help us out. So it started with the Sagalas, and then after that obviously the Liga openings, which is a sports fest, but recently I've been also being engaged in like planning out seminars for the kids, and then even like donation drives, recycling drives, which a lot of these we haven't done yet because except for the ones in Buayang Bato. Like in Buayang Bato I have done like women empowerment seminars and education for kids, but for the others, like we are in the planning stage, and I am planning to become more involved in these projects in the future because I was given this opportunity by like the Mandaluyong city government.
And I'm sure you're using the most out of it, and you're really
Hopefully.
and ang daming ang nagiging plans na you're actually living now, and you're reaching out to so many people, and then but you weren't always this confident, like you said. So with your insecurities from before, how was that? How did you have to deal with it, and how did you conquer it?
Oh gosh, like insecurities. And the funny thing is that just yesterday I was talking to someone who told me that she wanted to join Miss Manda, but she never felt like she was good enough to join. Like, she felt insecure. And I told her, like, girl, I am the most insecure person you'd ever meet. Like, even at a young age, I grew up in a family of, like, overachievers. So I don't blame my parents for that. I just know that I think they wanted the best for me, but at the same time, it translated to, like, the way that I acted. Na, as a young girl, I always felt like I was not smart enough when I was to school. Even though, like, I did, like, get honors, I still felt like it wasn't enough.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
And you did study so many things,
Yeah.
right? So,
And then, that was as a young girl. Then, growing up to adolescence, obviously, there was a part naman of people that parang being so concerned with how they look. And during that time, well, that's a funny thing, because all I did as a young girl was to study and study and study because I wanted to get those honors. But at the same time, dahil panay ako nag-aaral, napapabayaan ko syempre yung other parts, like my social life, my looks. And so, yun, I would get teased naman because panay ako. I was basically like a nerd, so I would get teased for the way I look. I developed like severe acne like, at a young age. And then, I would cope with my stress by eating and eating and eating. So I would binge eat, and then I got obese after that. And yeah, aside from that, there was also like the mental health issues growing up. Like, it also feeds into the insecurity that you know, the part in my life I would look at it and I feel like, oh, I'm just so imperfect. Like, I want to be perfect, but I'm so imperfect. I have so many problems when it comes to different aspects of my life. But, you know, like, again, like you mentioned, like, honestly, until now, I'm such an insecure person. Like, I really am. But what helps me overcome these insecurities is just realizing that you don't have to be perfect. When I joined Miss Manda, I'm such an overthinker. Like, until now, I'm such an overthinker. So, I'm such an overthinker and overplanner. So, when I would join something like a pageant, I would think that I have to be perfect in the way that I look, the way that I speak. Kailangan perfect yung presentation ko, like even my talent portion. But then, the funny thing is that I didn't have time. Like, I didn't have time to overthink all these things because our pageant was actually really rushed.
so that maybe worked to your advantage.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, it was the first pageant since the pandemic, and so it was really, really rushed. And I didn't have time to overthink. And my manager would just tell me then na, you don't have to, parang hindi mo kailangan i-overthink kung anong itsura mo. Just come as you are. And then make the most of what you have in the moment. And then saka mo na lang iusin yung weaknesses mo as you go along. And it worked for me in Miss Manda. So right now, I am adapting that mantra. That when it comes to like different things, like in school, in work, in relationships, I don't have to be perfect. The important thing is that I'm able to know my strengths and then utilize that to the best of my abilities. And then eventually just work on my weaknesses as I go along. Because at the end of the day, I'm a young girl. Like, I still have time to develop myself, and the important things that I want to develop these insecurities. And that's what matters.
Yeah, and the fact that you went through that, now that you can share that story to hopefully empower others to, you know, follow suit as well. So you've used that to your advantage, right? So it's so nice that you get to share that story with our dreamers now. So, and then ngayon, what about for women? Because you're also an advocate for women empowerment. So what
of
about
course.
that?
Like, I think that these insecurities of mine and what I've gone through, like, as you know, I understand that in society, like, everyone has their challenges, men, women, children. But I feel like women have it much, much harder because we have so much expectations put on us. We're expected to become homemakers and mothers, but at the same time, like, control our sexuality and also like become career women. Like, there's just so many things. And ang sa akin is that it's really simple. I believe that women should be given the freedom to have the choice for their lives, to determine what they want to do in their lives. Like, that's it. That's what women empowerment is about. Women empowerment isn't about being like a CEO or a scientist or politician if that's not what you want. Women empowerment is choosing what you want. And sa akin is that parang there are many aspects to it. Like the legal aspect, we have rights that protect women from the things about us natin. And in the social aspect, yung expectations natin ng mga dati, like Maria Clara archetype and stuff like that. Yeah, we are in the 21st century right now, so we should be able to transcend that. There's the economic aspect, that for women to be able to have the choice when it comes to their careers, they should be able to be supported financially, like by the government and by their own families. They should be given especially like literacy seminars on how to handle their finances and how to make decisions for their lives. And that's why in Boyang Bato, like I did a women empowerment seminar when I talked to like the women in our barangay. Like these are halo-halong audience. They were elderly women, they were children, they were government officials. And in my speech, I emphasized like the importance of choice. At the same time, the importance of having autonomy over your life as a woman. And importance of having like allies. Basically, the men, the government officials, everyone in our society should be able to contribute to empowering women. Because at the end of the day, like if you empower women, it's cliche, but it's true. Like if you empower women, you empower the entire society because women are such a big factor in our society. So in the future, like I am planning to conduct more activities in Mandaluyong, like to help in our local government's initiatives. Because right now, like our Mandaluyong councillors have been passing like a lot of ordinances, especially targeting addressing the issue of online sexual harassment of women in the workplace and in schools. And so we plan on conducting seminars that will be able to help address that because it's important that the women here are aware of their rights.
Yeah.
It starts with that. It starts with awareness. Because I feel like a lot of women just feel really powerless. And for you to take control over your lives, you have to be aware of your power first. So it's just parang it's awareness seminars. It seems like it's just casual, like such small activity, but in reality, malaki yung impact na nagagawa
Parang pwede
nun.
pala.
Yeah.
Parang we have those rights pala.
Exactly. You'd be surprised with how many people are not aware of that. And not just about knowing your rights, knowing how you can address this. If people are trying to harass you, especially online, like you should know the different avenues where you can go to, where you can run to. And you should know that if you need help will always be there, like especially in our government in Mandaluyong.
So aside from women empowerment, education is also a big thing for you. So, sorry. So yeah, can you tell me about your education plans as well?
Well, actually, my advocacy has always been education ever since like I would just say like 8 years old. Like I was already like part of like the initiative of like SOS Philippines and Tawag Kalinga. Like I was really focused on education at a young age because ang sa akin is that I was given the privilege of having parents that really valued educating me. Like even as a young girl, they would always tell me it's very important that I'm aware about what's happening in the news. That I see different places in the country, like from the rich, the poor people, I'm aware of those things. It's not just education na, my parents supported me when it comes to like my education when it comes to school. But more than that, I was given the knowledge of things that are not usually taught in school. Kasi hindi naman lahat tinuturo sa school eh. And hindi lahat ng mga matatalino sa school ay matatalino pagdating sa buhay.
True, yeah.
So that's why when I like got a little bit older, like I started pursuing my advocacy of education, and that I joined like different NGOs like Love Education Philippines, Educate Foundation, Teach Peace, Build Peace movements. And these organizations, they are all aware that we already have like a good education, like not really that great. Yun nga, like we have an education system in our country, but there are gaps. And the purpose of these NGOs where I'm part of is to fill in these gaps, to be able to address, like for example, Teach Peace, Build Peace movement. Like there are a lot of like, you know that there is war happening in Mindanao, and not a lot of children are actually educated on like peace education. Like there's no subject about peace education or no subject teaching about like nonviolence, but they make an effort to go to these schools, whether in person or through conducting online webinars, and teach the value of peace. During the pandemic naman, I was part of Google Philippines' initiative that conducted online webinars on cyber peace. So you know, in pandemic, like all of us were using our cell phones. And imagine, like, it's such a basic topic, cyber peace. Like, how should you address the issue of cyberbullying? But we don't have a subject like that taught in school. And not a lot of children are actually educated on that.
Yeah, and I think because of, you know, the sa internet then, it's like a new thing, sort of. So it's not something that was thought of before for education. It's like the think before you click kind of thing is good to finally include sa curriculum.
Yeah,
hopefully.
That's right. So it's these topics that are not usually taught that I focus on. And so in our barangay in Buayang Bato, like every Saturday, there are tutorial services for the kids. And sometimes I would visit and I would teach them. Yeah, I would help them when it comes to like English, Filipino. But more importantly, I would teach them subjects that are not usually taught. Like when it comes to civic awareness, like the value. I know that we are taught our heroes in school, but usually it's limited to like knowing their names and their dates. And I would teach them like, what does it actually mean to become a hero? What can you do in our society? And maybe like a little bit of social awareness. Like, you know, I know people think that it's hard for us to teach law to children, but you know, the easiest part, like knowing your basic human rights, you can teach these things to teenagers. And so these are the stuff that I'm focused on right now. And right now I'm starting to branch these over into like different barangays in Mandaluyong, where in the future, like this one is a very, like it's such a simple project, but malaki magagawa na impact that I'm collaborating with right now with Councilor Benji Abalos in Mandaluyong, wherein sa darating pasukan, plano namin mag-conduct ng mga sa mga seminars sa mga daycare sa Mandaluyong about good morals and right conduct. Like imagine, good morals and right conduct. Kasi alam mo, yung mga bata ngayon, nawawala na sila ng marespeto sa kanilang mga magulang.
Tapos part siya ng, diba, ng grading system, pero we're not actually taught how.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's right. And yung mga bata ngayon, like, napapansin mo na parang nagiging medyo bastos na, hindi masyado, kasi napapagaya sila sa influence of like social media, like we were talking about earlier. And so it's important for them na at a young age pa lang, na i-ingrain na sa kanilang mind yung importance ng pagkakaroon ng right manners, right conduct. And not just the importance, but they should actually know how to apply this. So that's the purpose of that. Kaya nga ang target namin is yung mga bata sa daycare centers, na mga preschool, kindergartens until around grade 3. Kasi mga musmus pa lang yung isip nila, like madali pa ma-develop. And while we're conducting these seminars, their parents are also going to be in attendance to assure, to assure that they'll be invited to attend as well, to assure that even when the kids are not in school, kahit nasa bahay sila, yung parents nakatutok pa rin, nakasupervise pa rin. Para yung parents may natutuhan din at pinapasa rin talaga nila sa mga anak nila to make sure that these children are developed like in the future.
Yes, and it starts at home as well. So it's good to include them. And thank you for doing these kinds of things. And meron pa ba tayong hindi na-mention na social work that you do?
No, actually, like I want to say, like it's not thank you to me. Honestly, I should be grateful to like the people that they're giving me this platform to be able to do this. Honestly, I should be grateful to the people na bibigyan ako ng ganitong opportunity. Kasi hindi lahat eh. Alam mo, I'm not the only person who's thought about these activities. I know that there are so many intelligent people out there, pero hindi lahat nakakabigay ng platform na gawin ito. And that's why I'm grateful to Miss Mandaluyong. That's why I'm grateful, most importantly, to like our government in Mandaluyong, like our counselors right now, like Consi Benji, who's really like helping to collaborate with me and giving me this platform to be able to do these projects for the people. And when it comes to my social work, like right now, I am also part of an organization, Feeding Change Philippines, wherein we are like conducting charity events as well for the kids. And then I also plan on being involved in Addition Hills' project of Palit Basura. And I've already talked to the barangay captain there, Carlita Senal, regarding the project. So basically, it's because in the future, like, I'm preempting myself, but I do plan on joining Miss Earth in the future. Yeah, because I feel like Miss Earth is one of the rare pageants wherein nagkakaroon talaga ng platform to advocate for your advocacy. And sa akin, ever since, ang advocacy ko talaga is education, di ba? Pero rinirelate ko yan ngayon sa advocacy ng environment. Kasi alam nating lahat, lumabas ka lang ng bahay, alam nating lahat na climate change is such a big issue. So, sa Mandaluyong, ang pinakamalaking barangay dito is Addition Hills. And sila ang may pinakamalaking problem, obviously, when it comes to like environmental sustainability dahil sa dami ng mga tao. So one important thing that has to be addressed there is the issue of the waste management in the environment. So one project na ginagawa sa Addition Hills is Palit Basura, wherein people like give their solid waste, like mga bottles, mga sachet, and then tinitimbang, and then pinagpapalit for basic commodities. Like imbes na perang ibigay sa kanila, binibigay sa kanila mga bigas, mga pagkain, parang pinapalit sa nanapay. So it's something na magagamit nila in the future, like for good use. Aside from that, nagkakaroon na ng mga seminars para turuan yung mga bata, the importance pagdating sa mga recycling. And then yung mga matatanda naman on how to actually recycle your waste. Paano babawasan yung solid waste. So doon nagkakaroon ng collaboration ang environment tsaka education. And like obviously I plan on being involved in like other initiatives like tree planting activities, but to me like these are such important activities na importante kasi dito sustainable development, hindi yung sa ngayon lang. Importante maturuan yung mga tao na pagdating sa future mag-develop ng habit para makatulong din sa ating environment.
So for you ba, like curious lang ako kasi with ngayon nga nabibigyan ka ng so many opportunities because of Miss Manda and yung goal mo na pagiging politician. So do you think that also the reason why you joined Miss Manda was also to be able to get into politics?
Well, I actually joined Miss Manda because I wanted to have a platform to like promote my advocacy. Like that's the reason talaga. But I didn't expect to have this wide, like this such a big platform. Hindi ko na-expect din kasi alam mo, napapanood ko yung mga pageants sa ibang areas, like different cities in the country. And yung mga beauty queens, alam naman natin yung stereotype na magka-pageant, tapos mawawala, makita mo lang sila pag coronation na. Like, that's usually the norm. Pero in Mandaluyong kasi it's different eh. Like, when I was talking to like the counselors, they said mismo that they want to uphold the standard of Miss Mandaluyong. Like, especially our Vice Mayor right now, Menchie Abalos, that sa kanya, very important ang women empowerment, na hindi lang panay paganda yung mga beauty queens sa Mandaluyong, kundi panay talino. Like, panay talino rin. Like, I know this because I'm part of like I'm one of the most common judges pag may mga pageants ako na nag-judge. And sasabihan din talaga ako ng mga sa barangays na one of the criteria talaga here is Q&A. Like, it's very important. So, like, going back to your question, I think I really wanted to enter pageantry to use it as a platform, but I didn't realize how much of an opportunity I would be given throughout all of this. And right now, I'm not really thinking about running for politics right now. I'm just
okay.
I'm just enjoying my journey, honestly. Like maybe given the opportunity in the future, but I am interested in serving the people, and we'll just see wherever it takes me.
Yes, and it has taken you to Showtime, right? So can you tell me about that experience? Paano nangyari yun sa Showtime, especially for yung segment?
Well, actually, someone scouted me lang, Miss Heidi Malyari, like on Facebook. Then she scouted me to join Especially For You. And I was single at the time, so I thought, why not? So I did join Showtime. But when I joined the competition, unfortunately, I wasn't the one chosen because I don't think that I had, like, I think it's really just timing. Like, I didn't have that much of a connection with the person that they chose over there. And then he ended up choosing someone else, and then they went on a date, but unfortunately, they didn't work out as well. Pero yeah, so right now, I'm still single.
Okay, akala ko kasi sabi mo, I was single then. Hindi na single ngayon.
Oh, I wish.
I mean, super busy. Do you still have time for love life? Are you entertaining potential partners?
Well, in the past, honestly, like I've been brokenhearted in the past because I think that when I was younger, I made the mistake of focusing too much. I think every girl would. Well, again, we go back to like it's just a basic thing. You know, I'm a simple girl. Like every girl wants to have their Prince Charming. They want to meet their boyfriend. They want to get married. And at a young age, I always wanted that. So when I find someone who like fits my criteria, I immediately like just fall in love with them and nilalagyan ko na agad ng expectations.
But hopeless romantic. Ganyan.
Yeah, I am a hopeless romantic. That's a problem. And, you know, I think that I've always like craved to have like the love and affection of like a family that will be there for me. And that's why I would just fall in love so quickly. But then I realized like recently, like because I was heartbroken, like I met this guy and I thought that I was in love with him. But in reality, I didn't really know him for who he was. Marami ako na-realize na ang dami niya. Like, parang, alam mo, parang nabulag ako. So, kung ano meron, like, gwapo siya, matalino, may titulo, society, mayaman. Like, parang nabubulag ka sa mga superficial stuff na hindi ko man lang siya kinilala, like, as a person. And then eventually, as a relationship fostered, I realized that he had a lot of bad habits na mahilig pala siya sa mga babae, na mahilig sa mga bisyo. He's like, even had like violent temper, temperament. And yun, so because of that, na I realized that when it comes to relationships, it's important for you to get to know the person first. That's number one. The second thing is that you shouldn't have any expectations. Like, if romance comes, it comes. You don't have to look for it. So that's what I'm doing right now in my life. I'm not actively, unlike before, maybe, I think that before, I felt like I needed to have a man in my life to complete me. But I realized, like, part of women empowerment is that you don't need a man in your life. Like, you can accomplish like all these things alone. If you do have family in the future, then that's good. But it's not something that you're supposed to rush. So right now, I'm not actively looking for a love life. But syempre, like when you go to these places, you get to meet people. Sometimes you meet people who are like-minded like you, who also have the same passions as you. And right now, I guess I am dating. I am like in the dating stage. And I'm getting to know like certain people. Pero ang sa akin ngayon is hindi ko na minamadali. Ang sa akin, makilala mo talaga muna. Importante is magkatugma ang iyong goals, ang iyong values, principles, especially when it comes to family. Like, that's so important. So,
and speaking of family, so para kanino ka naman bumabangon at patuloy na nangangarap?
Well, in the past, I said, I would think na parang ginagawa ko to for a lot of people. Kaya ako, patuloy nangangarap because of my family, because of my friends, because of people's expectations of me. Pero, I realized na mali yun eh. Maybe, I mean, I don't want to discredit like, what other people say na parang they are siguro I will admit that I am privileged enough na hindi ko wala akong sinusuportahan ngayon mga kapatid that my parents are supporting for me. Ang natitiran lang doon siguro is the expectations, so ikapalit yun. Where I realized na hindi ko kayang mabuhay for other people for any of their expectations. Especially since I'm not obligated naman to help anyone at the moment. Ang importante dito is that bakit kanina ko bubangon para sa sarili ko. Para sa mga pangarap ko. And para sa mga pangarap ko rin para sa ibang tao. But at least it comes from me. It's not something dictated onto me or because I have to do this. It's something that I actually want to do. So it starts with knowing that I'm doing this for myself because I like what I'm doing. And then after that, when you know what you like to do, yun yung mismo yung nagmamotivate sa'yo. Like when I am in this community, if I am in my barangay, if I see these children, these are the people that motivate me because I guess nakita ko na parang may potential na pwede ko sila matulungan. May ability ako na may potential na mas maayos yung maging future nila. Kung share ko yung aking talents. Like, God gave us these talents for reasons. Why not share it with them? And that's what pushes me, like motivates me even further.
You know, interestingly enough, actually, a lot of people say it's the self that motivates. So, parang halos lahat ng guests namin, self talaga yung
Really?
nagsasabi. Kasi it's
Yeah.
good then to know na parang it starts with us. Kasi before we can extend what we can't give what we can't have.
Yeah.
What we don't have. Yeah.
That's right.
So, ayun, I think it's good that we start with ourselves now and better ourselves before tayo mag-share and spread to others ng knowledge and lessons. And ayun. So, it's nice that you share that as well. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
And if you can share to our dreamers. So, to those dreamers na parang who have been like shy their whole life as well, maybe watching in their own room. So, what would you like to tell them na they can do what you're doing now as well?
Well, honestly, just do it. Like, just do it. Don't overthink it. I know that a lot of people, like, as I've shared in my story, that I have a lot of insecurities. Like, people in general have a lot of insecurities. There are a lot of challenges. There are a lot of reasons why you shouldn't do what you want, what you dream to do. Pero, it's cliche to say, but you only live once. And so, ang paniniwala ko talaga is that I like living my life without any regrets. Nakita mo yun sa kwento ko. Na lahat ng gusto kong gawin, ginawa ko. Kahit nahirapan ako, nag-artista ako, nag-theater actress, nag-pageant, nag-politics, and lahat ng gusto kong gawin, ginagawa ko na lang. And mahirapan talaga ako. Like, I've gone through so many challenges, but at the end of the day, I don't regret this because I know that I lived my life to the best of my abilities. And whatever happened man in the past, it has brought me to my position where I am right now. I am the person where I am right now because of my experiences. And so, masasabi ko is that for them, it's the same thing. Like, don't overthink it. If you want to do something, just do it. Don't think about the challenges. Don't think about the failures that could come. Because at the end of the day, kung ano man ang magawa mo, makakatulong yan sa pagbuo mo as a person. And kahit na matapa ka pa, kahit mahirapan ka ba, makakabangon ka rin, makakabangon ka. So I believe that every one of us like has so much strength. That's why we are here.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Thank you for that. And so with that also, it's very fulfilling then when after we go through the challenges, diba? So we just have to go through it, like you said. So final words now. Thank you for the interview. Do you have anything to promote?
Well, in the future, ngayon nakafocus lang talaga ako sa aking pag-aaral sa law school and then sa aking mga gagawin na projects sa Mandaluyong government. So, maybe in the future, like if a lot of you can drop by in Mandaluyong, like I would really like encourage you to just drop by in Mandaluyong. Like, you can see how beautiful the city is, honestly. And minsan gagawa ko ng mga seminars doon para sa mga bata. And meron kaming pinaplano rin ni Consi Benji na gawing seminars para sa mga workers naman sa Mandaluyong, where we plan on focusing on teaching them how to develop their own businesses. And then for workers naman on how to find a job. So plano namin gumawa ng mga seminars on that as well. And magkakaroon ng mga job fairs sa Mandaluyong. So especially of the citizens sa Mandaluyong, encourage ko kayo na mag-participate doon. And mag-participate sa mga initiatives sa mga barangay ninyo when it comes to like education, comes to the environment. And personally naman, pagdating sa showbiz, like wala pa naman akong plano sa future. Wala pa naman akong projects na ginagawa. Pero there's one thing lang na pangarap ko ever since is makasali talaga sa Miss Earth.
Ah, yes. Miss Earth, watch out.
It's a long time pa naman, like next year. But like that's the only thing that is possibly like something that I would look forward to.
Okay, so yeah, there we have it. Thank you so much for being with us, Miss Alliana. So, goodbye, dreamers. Have a good night and sweet dreams.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.